Dorud, dear listeners. I'm Sindokt, and welcome back to Echoes of Persia. In our first episode, we witnessed the glorious rise of humanity's first kings, from Kayumars to the magnificent Jamshid. But today, we delve into darker waters. For every light casts a shadow, and the shadow we explore is long indeed. If you missed our first episode, The First Crown, from Kayumars to Jamshid, I encourage you to go back and listen to it first. It sets the stage for the tragic tale we're about to unfold. In our previous episode, we journeyed through the dawn of civilization and the reign of Persia's first legendary kings. We uncovered the story of Kayumars, humanity's first ruler who brought order to life, Hushang, the discoverer of fire and metalwork, Tamures, who mastered writing and bound the forces of darkness, and Jamshid, whose unmatched glory was ultimately undone by pride. These tales revealed the birth of kingship, the rise of wisdom, and the perils of forgetting the divine source of power. If you're ready to dive into the next chapter of this epic saga, make sure you're subscribed to our channel and have hit that like button. This journey is just beginning. In the lands of the spear-wielding horsemen lived a noble chief named Mardas. His herds numbered in the thousands, cattle, sheep, and Arab horses of the finest breed. But more than his wealth, he was known for his generosity. Anyone who needed milk could come to Mardas's door. His heart was as pure as the milk he shared, his faith as clean as spring water. But Mardas had one son, Zahhak, whom the Persians called Bivarasp, master of 10,000 horses. Young, bold, and restless, he spent more time in the saddle than on the ground, though not from warrior's zeal, but from a darkness stirring in his soul. One dawn, as the first light touched the desert.
Young prince, how fortunate I am to meet one so promising.
Who are you, stranger with such honeyed words?
A friend, one who sees your true worth. But first, swear to me that what passes between us remains our secret.
Young Zahhak, never suspecting the true nature of his visitor, took the oath. And then...
Tell me, prince, why should one such as you wait in the shadow of an aging father? Why should such an ancient tree block the sun from such a promising sapling?
What? What are you suggesting? To harm my own father? No, this cannot be right.
Think carefully, young prince. Your oath binds you to silence. Break it, and you'll remain forever in his shadow, dishonored and weak. Keep it, and the throne could be yours.
The seed of evil, once planted, grew quickly in Zahhak's heart. Though it pained him at first, the thought of power soon overcame his love for his father. In Mardas's palace was a garden where the pious chief would pray each dawn. Here, Iblis prepared his trap, a deep pit carefully hidden along the prayer path. How strange are the ways of fate! Mardas had never caused his son a moment's pain, had raised him in luxury and love. Yet here was that same son plotting his destruction. In the pre-dawn darkness, Mardas went to his prayers as usual. One step, and the righteous chief plunged to his death in the demon's trap. Remember this wisdom. A wicked son, even if raised to be a lion's equal, will not hesitate to spill his father's blood. Perhaps the truth lies with the mothers, who know their children's true nature from the start. And so Zahhak, through treachery and patricide, became the chief of the Tazi people. But this was only the beginning of his dark ascent. The crown he gained through patricide would soon spread its shadow across all of Iran, for evil, once given a throne, rarely remains content with small dominions. Having tasted the sweetness of evil through patricide, Zahhak became even more susceptible to Iblis's manipulations.
If you continue to follow my guidance, young king, all shall be yours. Every beast of the field, every bird of the air, every fish in the sea.
And so Iblis crafted his most cunning plan. He disguised himself again, this time as a brilliant young cook.
O great king, I am but a simple cook, but my dishes can delight the senses and strengthen the spirit.
A cook, you say, and what marvels can you create?
In those days, cuisine was simple, with few prepared dishes. But this mysterious cook began to create extraordinary meals, each more tempting than the last.
First came dishes of eggs, delicately prepared, then fowl of every kind, partridge, pheasant, all seasoned with exotic spices. Finally, young lamb, tender and aromatic.
Never have I tasted such wonders. Name your reward, clever cook.
My king, I ask only one small favor. Allow me to kiss your shoulders to show my devotion.
Not knowing the true nature of his cook, Zahhak granted this strange request. The moment Iblis's lips touched the king's shoulders,
What sorcery is this?
from each shoulder grew a black serpent, writhing and hungry. When they were cut off, they grew back immediately, like branches of a cursed tree.
We've tried every remedy, every potion. Nothing can remove these creatures.
Then Iblis appeared one final time, now disguised as a physician.
There is only one way to quiet these serpents, O king. They must be fed with human brains. Only this will satisfy their hunger.
And so began the darkest chapter in our history. Each day, 2 young men would be brought to the palace, never to return. Now we see Iblis's true plan, not just to corrupt one soul, but to empty the world of humanity itself. But evil, no matter how clever its plans, often plants the seeds of its own destruction. For this horror would give rise to a resistance that would change the course of history. When divine glory left Jamshid, darkness fell over Iran. The bright day turned black as night, and the bonds between king and people shattered.
See how our king has fallen, once blessed by divine light. Now he stumbles in darkness, his wisdom turned to foolishness.
From every corner of Iran rose ambitious nobles, each claiming the right to rule. Armies gathered, alliances formed and broke, all turning away from their once beloved king.
Why should we follow one abandoned by divine grace? We hear of a powerful king in the Arab lands. Zahhak, they call him, the Serpent King. But
like iron filings drawn to a lodestone, Iran's warriors began moving towards Zahhak's kingdom. They had heard tales of his terrible power. Yet in their rebellion against Jamshid, they cared not what monster they embraced.
behold, the mighty Zahhak approaches. Let all who seek true power bow before him.
Zahhak came like a storm wind to Iran. Drawing soldiers from both Iranian and Arab lands, he formed an army that encircled the world like a ring around a finger.
Your divine king has lost his light. Bow before true power.
And Jamshid, once the most glorious of kings, became a fugitive in his own realm. For 100 years, none saw him. He who had once risen to the heavens now hid in shadows.
How swift falls the mighty. Yesterday I touched the sky. Today I skulk in darkness.
Finally, in the 100th year of his exile, Jamshid was found on the shores of the Chinese Sea. Even there, at the edge of the world, he could not escape his fate.
At last! The fallen king, who once claimed to be divine. Let all witness the price of such pride.
Zahhak showed no mercy. He ordered Jamshid to be cut in half with a saw, a death as terrible as any in our tales. 700 years he had lived, bringing both good and ill to the world. What use was such a long life when the world would not share its secrets with him? The world feeds you honey and sweet wine, whispers softly in your ear. Then, when you trust its loving design, brings blood and pain so near. Thus ended the age of Jamshid, the king who had brought civilization to humanity, who had risen to touch the sun itself, only to fall into the darkest depths. His throne, his glory, his achievements, all scattered like rubies before the wind. For 1,000 years, Zahhak's shadow lay over the world like an endless night. The bright legacy of Jamshid dimmed as wisdom went into hiding and madness danced freely in the streets.
Remember when knowledge was praised? Now we who seek wisdom must hide like thieves, while those who practice dark arts walk proudly in daylight.
Speak softer, wise one. Even the walls have ears in these dark days.
But among Zahhak's countless crimes, one stands out in particular: his treatment of Jamshid's daughters, the princesses Shahnaz and Arnavaz. These two flowers of Iran's royal garden, last remnants of their father's glory, were about to face their darkest hour.
Make way! The daughters of the fallen king approach.
Sister, hold your head high. Though they chain our bodies, our spirits remain free.
The blood of Jamshid flows in our veins. Whatever comes, we face it together.
The daughters of Jamshid, how fitting that you should grace my court. Perhaps you'll prove more adaptable than your father.
In Zahhak's twisted mind, it wasn't enough to simply imprison these princesses. They were to be transformed, their pure heritage corrupted through dark arts.
My king, these vessels of royal blood can be reshaped. Through them, we can corrupt the very essence of Iran's nobility.
The sorcerers worked their dark magic day and night. Where once were daughters of light, now stood instruments of shadow.
My precious girls, what have they done to you? Your eyes once shone with your father's wisdom. Now they reflect only darkness.
Under the guidance of Zahhak's dark priests, these daughters of light were taught the ways of corruption. They learned not the wisdom of their father's court, but the arts of deception and malice. What greater crime exists than to take innocence itself and twist it to evil's purpose? To corrupt not just the body, but the very soul. They say the princesses still weep in secret when no one watches. Perhaps somewhere deep inside, a spark of their true nature still burns. And so Iran entered its darkest age. The arts of killing, plunder, and destruction became the only lessons taught. The wisdom of Jamshid's time was forgotten, replaced by the whispers of demons and the screams of their victims. 1,000 years. Think of it. 1,000 years of darkness, where even the memory of light became forbidden. How many generations lived and died, knowing nothing but shadow? But even in this deepest darkness, fate was weaving a new pattern. For in the house of a humble cowherder, a child would soon be born who would challenge the Serpent King's terrible reign. Every night, 2 young men would be brought to Zahhak's palace. Nobles or commoners, it mattered not. Their fate was sealed, to feed the serpents that writhed on the king's shoulders. Their brains would satisfy the snake's hunger, while their bodies were discarded like refuse.
Please, I have a family. Children.
Silence! The king's serpents must be fed.
But in this darkness worked 2 remarkable men, Armayel and Garmayel. Though they appeared to be mere palace cooks, they were in truth noblemen who had taken these lowly positions with a greater purpose in mind.
Brother, how many more nights must we watch this slaughter? Each victim's face haunts my dreams.
Perhaps the Creator placed us here for a reason. In this very kitchen, we might find a way to defy the tyrant's hunger.
These noble souls devised an ingenious plan. Each night, when the guards brought their terrified victims, they would save one of the 2 young men.
Listen carefully. We mix sheep's brains with 1 victim's, thus deceiving the serpents. But you must disappear completely. The cities are no longer safe for you.
Take to the mountains, the wild places. Better to live free in the wilderness than die in the tyrant's palace.
How can we ever repay this mercy?
Live. Build a new life far from here. That is all we ask.
Month after month, year after year, the brave cooks continued their secret mission. For every 200 young men brought to the palace, they managed to save 100. These survivors fled to the wilderness, becoming the ancestors of the Kurdish people. Even today, the Kurds prefer the freedom of the mountains to the confines of cities. Their very existence is a testament to these ancient acts of mercy.
We are the children of those who chose freedom over submission, who found life in the very mountains that others feared. This is why we hold these heights sacred.
But Zahhak's evil knew no bounds. When not feeding his serpents, he would kill warrior nobles for sport and take their daughters as servants, corrupting all ancient traditions and holy customs. The palace became a place where virtue died and innocence was twisted. Yet even here, 2 souls dared to preserve life.
Sometimes I wonder if what we do matters. We save so few.
Every life saved is a victory over darkness. Every survivor who escapes carries with them a spark of hope.
Remember this truth. Resistance needs not always roar like a lion. Sometimes it can whisper like a cook's secret recipe, or work quietly like yeast in dough. None could have known then that these saved lives would play a crucial role in the coming rebellion against the Serpent King, that these descendants of mercy would one day help topple the throne of cruelty. With 40 years remaining of his 1,000-year reign, Zahhak lay in his golden chambers beside Arnavaz. But this night would be different from all others.
No! Impossible! 3 warriors approach from the royal palace, 2 elder ones flanking a younger. By the darkness, he stands tall as a cypress tree, bearing the divine glory itself.
In his nightmare vision, the youngest warrior charged at Zahhak, wielding an ox-headed mace. The weapon seemed to glow with divine light as it struck. And then...
The chains. He binds me like a common beast.
My king, what terrors shake you so? You who command 7 kingdoms whom all creatures obey. What could frighten such as you?
The king's cries shook the very foundations. Even the serpents writhe in agitation.
Perhaps, my lord, we should gather the wise men. Let them interpret this vision before it poisons your peace.
From every corner of the empire, Zahhak summoned astrologers, dream interpreters, and wise men. For 3 days they studied the omens, each fearing to speak first.
Speak. When will my reign end? Who dares to claim my crown? And remember, lies will cost you your lives, but truth might cost even more.
The signs, they're unclear, great king.
Better to die with truth on our lips than live with lies in our hearts.
Hear me, O king. Know this eternal truth. None born of mother escapes death's embrace. Many rulers before you held this throne, each believing their reign eternal, all passed into dust. Your destroyer shall be one named Feridun, not yet born to this world. He will be nursed by a sacred cow, and in time he will raise the ox-headed mace against your throne. When you kill his father, his heart will fill with vengeance. When you slay his sacred cow, he will forge his weapon. The very evil you commit against him will forge the instrument of your doom.
Upon hearing these words, Zahhak fell senseless from his throne. The serpents on his shoulders hissed and writhed, as if they too sensed approaching doom.
Quick, tend to the king, and you, sage, flee while you can. Truth-tellers rarely fare well in this court.
When Zahhak recovered, a dark obsession took hold of his mind. Sleep abandoned him. Food turned to ash in his mouth. Every child born in his realm became a potential threat.
Find him! Search every cradle, every nursery. Let no male child escape our scrutiny. This Feridun must not live to see manhood.
And so began the great hunt. Every corner of the empire was searched, every newborn recorded. The king who had ruled through terror now knew terror himself. How fitting that the tyrant who fed on the brains of the innocent should now fear an innocent babe. Such is the way of evil. It creates the very weapon that will destroy it. Day and night Zahhak searched, finding neither peace nor rest. The bright day turned dark as lapis lazuli in his haunted eyes. But fate had already set its wheels in motion. And so, dear listeners, we've witnessed how darkness can consume even the brightest kingdoms. From Zahhak's betrayal of his father to his usurpation of Jamshid's throne, from the curse of the serpents to the brave resistance of Armayel and Garmayel. We've seen how evil can spread, but also how hope can survive in the smallest acts of courage. The story of Zahhak teaches us that tyranny, no matter how powerful, carries within it the seeds of its own destruction. Even as the Serpent King searches frantically for the unborn Feridun, we see how his very actions are creating the circumstance of his eventual downfall. Join us next time for an episode that will lift your spirits as we meet Feridun's mother, Faranak, and witness the miracle of the sacred cow, Armayel. We'll see how a humble blacksmith named Kaveh will light the spark that ignites a revolution against the Serpent King's tyranny. If this dark tale has captivated you, please support our journey through Persian mythology by liking this video and subscribing to our channel. Your engagement helps us continue bringing these timeless tales to life. Until next time, this is Sindokt, reminding you that even in the darkest night, stars still shine.